Pizza Hut has introduced a trend. It's called pay with your trend. There's a quote that I wanted to read out. It said, social media is quite literally becoming a currency in today's world, but so far it's only been accessible to those who have a large following. But with this promotion and others like it, we're opening it up to everyone and anyone.
Legislation is coming to AI in Australia.
The government has implemented, it's not mandatory yet, right?
It's voluntary. We did confirm that right now, so don't freak out over it.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
Test as many creatives as possible and as often as possible. And that's the key to succeeding now on Meta. If we know creative works, how can we figure out which creative is better? Like, do we just look at conversion rate? The answer is no. There's actually a formula for it.
Welcome to Inbound Buzz episode 169. My name is Semi and I'm here with my close friend and colleague, Luca. How are you, Luca?
I'm doing really good. It's the first time we've done a podcast together, man. I'm so excited.
I'm the new Moby today.
The new Moby. Moby 2.0?
Moby 2.0. That's awesome. So we've got a good episode today. We've got a whole bunch of things in here. So we've got news buzz and then we've got really good featured buzz that's going to be talking about creative testing formula. So I'm very excited to get into that. But before we do that, let's jump into news buzz. So what's been happening with the news today, Luca?
So there's a few interesting things that's going on. So the first thing is Pizza Hut has introduced a trend. It's called pay with your trend. Basically, they task consumers with ordering a MyBox meal in the UAE, and then those consumers will essentially film a creative video featuring that box essentially. And then they get sent a discount code and they get to then order another box. It's a really interesting way of like gamifying their products.
So they get you to pay for a box first out of your pocket.
Yeah, yep.
Then they get you to shoot a video.
Yep.
And then if it goes viral, is that what it is? If it goes viral or not? Or is it just...
No, it's just if you post a video and tag the brand, Pizza Hut will send a one-time promo code on TikTok.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's just they make their money first and then they give you a discount to go... get a second one free.
It's like UG, like user-generated content to the next level. It's crazy. And it's interesting, right? There's a quote that I wanted to read out. It said, social media is quite literally becoming a currency in today's world, but so far it's only been accessible to those who have a large following. But with this promotion and others like it, we're opening it up to everyone and anyone. So it's like people are almost paying now for things with content. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. So is it just one-time offer or is it multiple offers?
I don't know. Imagine you
we
just do it multiple
can go into this. So the question is, how can you implement this in your business or can you?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, what do you think about it? Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I think that definitely like it is something that businesses should be thinking about. Like, how can they take their product or service and sort of gamify it and allow consumers to build content for them?
Me personally, honestly, I just think about it just a similar way. It's just another way of paying someone to do your ad work for you.
Essentially, right?
Creative work. Honestly, you're just paying in terms of free boxes after they've done it. You know?
Yeah.
So
it is.
If you break it down, that's at the end of it. That's what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's really the crux of it, just getting that UGC.
Yeah. So the next one is a new YouTube Shorts feature to add custom thumbnails.
Yeah.
What's that about?
This one's really interesting, man. So the YouTube algorithm, right? It's always been about watch time and CTR. So if you can get people to click on your videos and then watch for longer, you're going to go better in the YouTube algorithm. Now with Shorts, you didn't have the ability to customize thumbnails. So in like feed and stuff, when you're going through Shorts, now you can do that. So now you can influence your CTR of Shorts. So that, I guess this is interesting on two fronts. So one, it's like YouTube's clearly still moving towards that algorithm they've been doing consistently, CTR and watch time.
Okay.
And two, now Shorts are already popping. So now it's like you can take it to the next level and use the algorithm to benefit your Shorts even more.
Yeah, interesting. So thumbnails, you're going to start designing thumbnails for Shorts? Is that what it is now?
More work?
More work for more people?
You were saying before though, right? I think we had a conversation. You were saying something about like businesses that just specialize in thumbnail creation.
That's true.
Like it's really important.
Yeah. It is. It's getting to that point, right? Like I think Canva's probably got some template somewhere, but you're not going to rely on that if you're going to go big on YouTube now. So
absolutely.
Interesting. Last one, which is legislation is coming to AI in Australia.
Yeah, so this one's really interesting, man. So the government has implemented. It's not mandatory yet, right?
It's voluntary. We did confirm that right
Yeah.
now, so don't freak out over it.
yeah.
But it's coming.
Yeah, so there's like a voluntary aspect to it, which is there, but the mandatory one they've said is coming. But it's interesting. They said it's only the mandatory one is gonna be for high risk use of AI. So like I don't know what that entails. You know what I
There'll
mean?
be some 300-page document that outlines what a high risk use is defined as.
Yeah.
And then some legislation will come around it, and then So if you love AI and if you like using AI and you use it to generate your content, I would say double down now and just make sure you produce all the revenue generating content stuff that you want to do right now.
Man, if it just
That's the only
disappeared, that'd
way.
be crazy. But I think like this brings to light a bigger question, a bigger point around AI policies, right? And obviously, like it's really important. We always preach this, like it's really important to develop those AI policies internally. The fact that this is going to legislation just shows how important it is for companies.
Yeah, it's also like really murking. I guess it is important if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, because it's murking out the boundary between sharing like very vital, important information that a business does
Yeah.
with an external party without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because like we don't have any control into like ChatGPT or AI and stuff or a bunch of stuff. So you should be very, very like, concerned about not sharing, client information or data or a whole bunch of things in there. So I guess it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing that it's moving that way.
Let's get to the favorite part, which is a creative testing formula for Meta specifically, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one because you kind of briefly mentioned to me beforehand. So let's dive into it. What is this? What's it about?
Cool. So I'd like to start this by talking about how you traditionally optimize campaigns, right? And worked on campaigns, and now where it's like moved towards. And then after that, we'll get like straight into the formula. So traditionally with Meta, it was very like technical heavy, right? So it was like, all right, we're going to split test interest. We're going to do all these like technical level optimizations on the ad set level. And when iOS 14 came out, all of that changed and it moved towards focusing on creative. Creative was always important, but after that shift, it really moved towards that, right? So, and obviously, like we've heard creative is king. Like I know you watch a lot of Alex and Rosie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's been testing a whole bunch of creative stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's
him jumping off him jumping off a ute or like pickup. They call it pickup in America.
Yeah.
And then like a donkey coming out. I don't know, some random shit.
But it works, man. And I think that's the key to like test as many creatives as possible and as often as possible.
Yeah.
And that's the key to succeeding now on Meta. That's like another way to scale your campaigns.
Yeah.
But all of that, or this change, I guess, brings to light one question, which is, all right, if we know creative works, how can we figure out which creative is better? Like, do we just look at conversion rate? The answer is no. There's actually a formula for it. That's what I want to go into.
Interesting. Let's get into it. So the video formula is hook,
Yep.
problem,
Yep.
solution,
Yep.
and then CTA.
Yes, correct.
Right?
And, yeah.
But then that's it, right? Like, what's the metrics behind these? Because apparently there's metrics. I didn't even know this, but apparently there's metrics behind all these
Parts of a video.
Yeah.
So like, there's obviously many different formats of video, right?
Yeah.
And this format we're talking about here, like hook, problem, solution, CTA, is just one formula that's worked really well for us. And then there's metrics to determine each part of that video, how effective it is, rather than like the video as a whole. So you can actually like segment parts of your video and figure out just how good that part is. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go over what each part of that video means, and then we'll like look at the metrics to determine how to test that.
Yeah, of course.
So like the hook is actually, I'll ask you, what do you, because you watch a lot of Alex and Rosie, so you'll be across this. What do you understand as the hook? What does that mean?
I have been noticing lately, it's just like the first bit that gets my attention.
Right. The first 3 seconds.
First 3 seconds, right?
Absolutely. What's like a hook that stands out to you, one that you remember?
The donkey one.
What happens? Like the donkey comes out.
Yeah, so there's like a donkey falls down, but then the scene changes onto him coming out of a pickup at the back of a pickup and acting like as if like he just morphed from a donkey into like.
Oh,
you know,
that's
himself.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's a wild one.
it's a good. Honestly, it got me the first comment. I wasn't expecting that from him. You know, it was like, oh, it got me.
It's all about subverting expectations because that's what's going to stop the
course.
people in the feed, right?
Yeah,
We've done similar stuff. Like we've tested hooks, and a hook that's worked really well for us was, as weird as it sounds, having my dog next to me
yeah,
and being like, hey, Jet, you know, what do you think about SEO? And then it like cuts to me just talking about SEO.
yeah.
It's weird, but it stops people in the feed. So
That's right.
That's the hook, the first
It's
3 seconds.
First 3 seconds and then the cut,
So what do you mean by cut?
or like the cut to the next part.
Yeah. So there's a hook, then there's a cut, and
Yeah.
it gets to the next part.
Yeah.
And the next part in this particular video formula is problem. So it's like agitating the problem that the buyer has. Right.
Really digging into it, right?
Digging in deep, yeah. And what we find works really well with this is like talking in terms of the customer. So like if your problem is,
Are you frustrated with HubSpot, or are you feeling like you are alone?
yeah, but then you reword it right and you say it like, have you ever thought to yourself, I'm using this tool, I'm using HubSpot, and there's so much to do with it, and I'm constantly overwhelmed and just don't
Yeah.
know what I'm doing. And then when you
Or-
say it like it's like you're saying
Yeah.
it in their words.
Yeah,
It's really
that's
powerful.
this is the way they repeat it to themselves.
Yeah. So that's the problem part.
I need more support with HubSpot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a problem that they say to themselves. You know.
Yeah. And
Oh,
a lot
I wish there was a support for HubSpot. You know.
Yeah. So when you say it like that, like you just said, it's more powerful because you're saying it in their words.
It's interesting because then that people also forget the hook.
yeah.
You know, I just noticed that. Like, I remember the hook that got me into it, but I realized the problem.
It's the problem that
It's
you
the
focus
problem
on.
that I focus on. The hook was just there. Like, I don't even you forgot about your dog.
Yeah, right. The hook just gets you like watching, it gets the attention. But
Yeah.
once the attention's there,
Yeah.
it's really the problem that keeps them there.
Yeah, interesting.
And then the next step is the solution. So that's like what you're offering. So, okay, I'm frustrated. Have you ever thought I'm frustrated with HubSpot? I'm too overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's actually this course that runs you through exactly how
Yeah.
to use every part of HubSpot.
Yeah,
That's the solution. Then the CTA, call to action, which is the last part, is like, click the link and we'll show you exactly how you can do this in your business.
yeah.
Right. And that's the 4 parts.
Giving them a relief.
Yeah,
You know?
that's an interesting way of putting it. Giving them a relief at the end of the video.
Relief
Yeah.
because they just told them about the solution, but you don't know where to go. And so you're like, here's what you need to do next.
And I really like
You
that
know?
way of putting it. I'm going to use that from now on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did mention that. Oh, thanks. I'll take credit for it.
So,
Awesome.
so those are the 4 parts. You mentioned metrics before, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
So how do we test this with metrics? That's
Yeah.
what you're telling me before.
Exactly. So I think a mistake a lot of advertisers or businesses will make is they'll look at the video and they'll say like, all right, video A has these metrics, so it's better than video B or vice versa. What I'm suggesting here with this particular creative testing formula is you take those 4 parts of the video, and for
Yep.
every part of that video, so those 4 parts, you have a different metric for each part, right?
Yeah, wow.
And that metric determines how good that is. So if you look at the hook and you say, all right, the hook in video 1 is better than the hook in video 2, but the problem in video 2 is better. So you take the hook out of video 1 and you take the problem out of video 2 and you plug them together.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
now you're mixing and matching and you're developing creatives based on segments, not on the whole video.
You're gonna have to redo. Like
Exactly.
Camtasia doesn't have to do the donkey part again.
Yeah, so like in that case, Alex, if he found that the donkey part of the video worked really well,
Yeah,
he'd take
and then
that donkey
that
part,
out.
put it with another video that's actually working better after
Yeah.
the hook part, and then that would run, right?
There you go.
And that's really how it works. And there's different metrics for each of those 4 parts.
Yeah,
So for the hook, it's thumb stopping rate.
thumb stopping rate.
Yeah.
Who came up with the name for that?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Thumb stopping rate.
Yeah, you know what happened? I also always forget the name, and I'm like, "What's it
Yeah.
called again? What's it called?" Because it's just a weird
It's a good
name,
name.
right? It's
Thumb stopping metric
but it makes sense, right? Because
Yeah,
your
yeah.
thumb stops
stops
to stop the scroll.
to stop the scroll.
Yeah.
And what's that? What's
So
the metric?
the way you measure that is 3-second video plays divided by impressions.
So if I'm scrolling,
Yeah.
right, and then if my finger stops the creative for more than 3 seconds, then that's counted as an impression.
No, so it's an impression if the video enters
Okay,
your
gotcha.
screen.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But the
Yeah.
thumb stopping rate just measures the number of users
that
who like, or the number of impressions that actually stop
That
for 3
makes sense.
seconds.
yeah.
yeah.
So whoever stayed longer than 3 seconds is
counted.
Is counted.
Yeah. And then
Gotcha.
that's represented as a percentage. So for this, if you're 30% or higher thumb stopping rate, that's good.
Yeah, mad.
Yeah, that's a good,
Okay.
good metric.
That's the first part,
That's
right?
the hook, right?
That's
So
the
you figure out
hook.
what hook's best.
So you know if your hook is good, if it's 3 seconds or greater.
yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
So you set up that, and this is a custom metric on Meta. So when you're
You can do that in Meta.
yeah.
off the bat?
So you obviously have like your preset metrics like
Yeah.
click through rate, reach,
Yeah,
blah blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
What you can do is you can click columns and then customize columns and then create custom metric, and you can like
Gotcha.
put in a formula, right?
Gotcha.
So you can say this
We'll
divided by
let the
this.
viewers figure it out.
yeah.
We know it's there.
We might have a guide attached to this podcast at some
There you
point, so
go.
check that out in the additional resources. But that's essentially what it is,
Okay.
and then you can view each video like that. So then you know, like, all right, out of these 4 videos, video 1 had the best hook and video 3 had the best hook.
Yeah, makes
That's what you're
sense.
measuring, right?
What about the problem?
So for the problem, you're gonna want to look at the video view rate.
Video view rate.
Correct. Yeah. So this is essentially measuring the percentage of impressions that get to the end of the video, or to 95% completion of the video, which
Okay,
is basically
gotcha.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, in the end.
So you might ask, like, or people might be thinking, like, all right, well, with video view rate, isn't that measuring if they're going to the end of the video? Isn't that also measuring solution? And while they are watching the solution and getting past that part, I'd say it's really the problem that keeps them there to the end. If the problem is resonating, if they've really got
Gotcha.
that problem, they're going to watch to the end.
Yeah, so it's assuming that the problem has to be good enough to the point where it gets someone to watch to the end, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If I have a problem with HubSpot, right?
Yeah.
And I need a solution to that, I'm going to wait till the end of the solution.
see the
To see
solution.
the solution.
Yeah, which
Right?
typically tends to be 95% of the video's
Yeah.
length, right?
Yeah. Because the last 5% would probably be like, click the link below. And then,
yeah,
and then they're like, okay, good, thanks. And then they move on, right?
exactly.
If they decide, that's interesting. There you
Yeah.
go.
So that measures the problem. So
Yep.
the way you calculate that is total video view completions divided by total impressions.
And for the solution,
So solution and call to action, which is the 2 last parts. So like, hey, here's my solution and you should download now or click to learn or whatever. Those 2 parts are measured through CTR, so click-through rate.
okay. So
Yeah.
what you pay for.
So click-through rate is like the percentage of users that
Actually,
click on the
convert.
ad to go to the landing
Yeah,
page. Yeah. So, and that's just like a metric that's within Meta anyway. You don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
customize
that's
that or
right.
anything. It's only the other 2 that you have to. So with this, right, you can have like 4 ads and you can see like, all right, my thumb stopping rate is different on these ads. So I know like hook A works best, right?
Yep.
But now I know that the video view rate's better on the last video ad. So now I know that the video view rate is better on the last video ad, right? So then I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to combine that hook with this part. So you cut the videos with this part now.
Yeah, it makes
Then
sense.
you're like, all right, which solution CTA is better? All right, well, the CTR on the second video is best. Then you cut that out, you put it here. Then you're like, all right, now I got a video that has the best hook, the best problem, the best solution CTA.
Best solution CTA.
And then you just repeat and repeat and repeat.
And now you got a winning creative that you have butchered together
Yeah.
to make a Frankenstein of an ad that actually works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's some cases where, that won't work because, problem A might not work with solution B, for example. And that's okay. But where you can use this in those circumstances is like, all right, I know that solution B is better. So what I'm going to do is record a solution that's similar to that style, but for this different problem, right? So you're not only like matching them together using that like Frankenstein style, I like that, but you're also using it to direct your next shoot.
Gotcha.
So it becomes really, really powerful.
So it comes all about testing your creative, which is the point of this formula.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of businesses miss. They just look at the videos like, oh yeah, this one has a better conversion rate. But the conversion rate's the landing page and like
That's
everything else, right?
Yeah.
So when you break the video down part by part and you look at each of those metrics, that you really figure out what specific segment works best.
When you do break it down this way, it does make so much more sense. It's not a guesswork. It's more repeatable, metric work that if you focus on, you would get a winning creative that's going to save you money at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think that's what all the guys who, like Alex and Mosey, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's how they break down their ads.
Well, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that is it. That's everything.
Did we miss anything?
Look, the only other thing which I don't think we should get into because it's just a rabbit hole, but the only other thing is like, where do you look at conversion rate and cost per conversion or CPA? That comes into play when you look at your landing page.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
like if your CPA is better on this ad or this ad, yeah, the ad might have an influence on that CPA, but the landing page and optimizing that landing page is where it's going to have the most impact on your cost per conversion.
Yeah, of course.
So
As long as they click through, it's your landing page's problem.
absolutely,
Right?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So your ads problem is to get them to click through. Your landing page's problem is to get them to purchase or do whatever you're trying to get them
That's
to
it.
do.
Yeah, that's a different problem that you're going to figure out.
Yeah,
some
that's
way.
a completely different one.
Well, that's it. Thanks very much, guys. And we'll see you in the next episode when Moby's back.
See you soon, Moby, and everyone else.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.